Welcome to another episode of A Beekeeper's Diary. I'm trying something to simultaneously record a video and an audio podcast at the same time. So I'm just showing on my video the hives in their situation, and then it's just going to be my face of a random bloke standing in a tree for the rest of the video. Who knows what it'll turn out like, but it's a bit of fun, isn't it? So we are now at the beginning of November, and it's still quite warm, although the bees aren't really flying too much. It's a nice still autumnal day. Red kites flying overhead, calling from time to time. There was 10 in the air earlier on, which I've tried to video on my phone. It's not so easy, but I've given it a go, so I'll try and cut that in if I can. Might be able to hear the wind rustling in the trees just here, my usual spot. If anyone can see me, it looks like I'm just muttering to myself in a field, which is true. So today on Hive 2, I've now put that fully into winter mode. So I've taken the feeders off both hives, managed to coax the bees out of that, which was moderately traumatic. I've had my last bit of bee venom therapy for the year, one in the hand, and for the first time one got inside my welly boots and stung me on the ankle, which is rude. So that was fun. I'd forgotten what that felt like. So a last little reminder from the bees: they're not benign at all times, especially if it's cold and they're grumpy. So yeah, the feeders are off. Feeding is completed of the syrup. Bonnets are on. The metal roofs are on. I put the posts around the hives to keep woodpeckers away from the polyhive so they can't peck their way in. And yeah, still the last few wasps are hanging around, but I think we've survived any onslaught that might happen. Sort of beekeeping adjacent, I tried to make a rolled candle. This week I bought a cheap silicone mat from Amazon, and you melt your wax, pour it into the silicone tray and sort of roll another mat on top of it, and it makes the hexagonal shapes in the bee's wax. And then once it's dried, you put a wick through the middle of it and roll it up, and it was a very ragged effort, and the wick was too big, so it was a bit of a towering inferno, but it worked. It was fun, so that's something I can have a bit of fun with over the winter. I quite like making candles. I make some traditional poured candles into moulds, which I quite like doing, but the rolled one looked fun and quite an attractive product, so I thought I might have a go at making some of those. Nature wise this week, not so much. I've just been working hard, haven't seen much on my travels. The only strange thing I've seen this week was this morning when I went to my allotment to get the bonnets from the shed where I keep them. Just in the middle of a random allotment plot, not near any water, there was a moorhen skulking about on someone's plot. So that was a bit different, made me double take. In this vicinity here as well, I'm hearing that the yard on the other side of the field has been sold to developers as well, which is a shame. So slowly housing developments and the like are surrounding this field. It might end up being the last remaining field that doesn't get built on, but the guy that owns this field is doing his best to keep it away, or maybe offer alternatives to try and keep this field, which I very much appreciate. So we'll keep watching with interest how this develops over the year, but we shall see. A bit worrying, but hopefully we'll be okay for next season. We'll see. That's it from me for today, and thanks for listening. Thanks for all the listeners. I've had a listener in Serbia. I don't know if people are using VPNs, but I've got some interesting countries. So if you're that Serbian person or you're that Indian person, drop me a message. I'll be interested to hear from you. You can find me on beekeepersdiarypodcast.com. Links to everything on there. Subscribe on Spotify if you fancy. Let me know you're out there and listening. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.